Hello, hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Schwa Mill, where we help you and other eccentrics craft your accents in American English pronunciation by taking a look at files that you send us so that way we can hear you and give you suggestions. My name is Jeff. I will be your guide for this Saturday, as usual. And I want to walk you through the process so that way you know how to send in your files. So that way, if you're looking to get feedback, you can do that. Hello to Emmanuel, who's here. Good to see you. And hello also to Edward, who has stopped in. And if Roxanne is here, hi also to her. And lastly, to Shoke. Thank you guys for checking in, saying hey. Man, notice the crackling sound is back. That's really weird. What I can try doing is restarting. It wasn't happening during Mission English, right? So that's really strange. Trying to think. Give me one sec, guys. I'm going to open up with a video. Give me 1 second. I will return. I have no idea why it's doing that. All right, give me 1 sec. I will return and see if I can adjust the audio. In the meantime, while I'm away, you can check out this video. And we'll be back in a moment. You were probably in school years ago when your nice English teacher taught you to say these words.
Wrong.
All contain vowel sounds that consonants can transform into horrible, horrible monsters. We are hunting down consonants starting with the letter L. Say these words to yourself really quick. Real, girl, milk, roll, cool. Did you say them like I did? If not, it's because when the letter L comes at the end of a word, you want to make sure of these things. The tip of your tongue is down. The back of your tongue is high. There is enough air moving through your throat. It's like a consonant sound becomes a vowel sound like Let's try them again then, shall we? Real, girl, milk, raw, cool. Hear all that breath. Real and cool, by the way, have
long vowel sounds.
That's important because long vowels, when they connect with the letter L, have a slightly
different
sound. Compare.
Really, real, really, real. Notice that the long vowel pronounces the vowel sound and then adds in all sound. Here are examples of major long vowels with L's attached. Style, stale, steal, spoil, stool. Don't get nervous if you hear a D come after the L sound either. Keep your vowel the same in pairs like these. Ball, bald, saw, sawed, call, called.
Could we do that faster?
Ball, bald, saw, sawed, call, called. Ball, bald, saw, sawed, call, called.
It's not just the L that's after your English, though.
The letter N is horrible at leaving your words in an awful mess to clean up. Lone, moon, pain. If you said lowen, mooin, or payin, it's a problem. You don't need to add an extra vowel sound before the letter N. It's just lone, moon, pain, lone, lowen, moon, mooin, pain, payin. Or maybe this is the problem. How do you say this? If you say you are raising your placement up here and closing off your throat. Not enough air is making it through, and you might actually be carrying that onto your vowel sound as well. Try to take the sound down and get more air through your throat too. Compare and
pain, pain, lone, lone, moon, moon.
But if you found all of those words easy, this one might just get you.
All right, we're back. If you guys can let me know. I checked everything on my end. I restarted things. I just ran some audio tests. I didn't hear any crackling whatsoever. So if there is crackling, most likely it's on the server side for the website. So I apologize if there is audio, because on my end, everything seems to be okay. But let me know. I can try playing around with audio and stuff like that. Mayo says the audio is good now. Okay, we'll hope it stays that way. Anyways, what was I doing? I was walking you through the process in case you want to send me audio. Okay. Give me a second and I'll show you how all of that will work. The process is fairly simple, but there are a couple of steps involved. Okay. So, firstly, if you go to our video description, you're going to see a link to a Google document. Once in that document, this is what it looks like. And you're going to see at the top, it directs you to visit vocaroo.com. If you go to vocaroo.com, what it's going to look like is this. And the only difference that you may see is you may see a big, fat, red record button right here. You can press that record button. It's then going to give you the option to save. When you click save, it's going to give you this link. You take this link, you put it into the document, and you're set. Those are all the steps you need for us to be able to hear your audio and give you suggestions for how to say things in American English in a way that sounds natural. Okay. All right, so those are all the steps. I think that kind of covers everything on my end. If you guys have questions for me as we go through things, be sure to let me know so we can help you out as best as possible. But let's get right into giving you feedback. Oh, let me add myself there, right? Again, it's not little, it's more little.
The G host was class.
Are you feeling that here, or here? All right, so I'm going to share my screen and my sounds. That way, you guys will see what I see and hear what I hear. And we'll be able to start getting into things right away. Try to choose a quick one to get into things. Okay, let's see what people are doing. It's 14:24. Oof. Some books.
I've got an East Coast trip.
24. Everyone's going long today. 8 seconds. Okay. Let's shortest file just to get into the speed of things. Let's take a listen to this.
Magnus, as you know, is a lot like gravity. All it takes is a little push.
Are you quoting the Joker?
Magnus, as you know, is a lot like gravity. All it takes is a little push.
Okay. Sending us the file. Okay. All right, so here we are. So mass, a lot like gravity. All you need is a little push. Let's try our best to remember timestamps. I know it's a very sounds thing. Around the 8-minute mark. Okay.
Magnus, as you know, is a lot like gravity. All it takes is a little push.
Okay, so some things for this file. I'll play it one more time.
Magnus, as you know, is a lot like gravity.
Madness, as you know, is a lot like gravity. In terms of actual vowel sounds and consonant sounds and things, I think a lot sounds fine.
Magnus, as you know, is a lot like gravity.
Maybe you could get a little more on gravity. It's like gravity. Heard that to how we were here.
It's a lot like
gravity.
gravity.
Versus gra. Do you hear that difference? So something that can help is just tensing your lips a little bit to spread them out. The mouth doesn't have to be like crazy wide. It doesn't have to be like gra, ah. You're just more gra, ah, ka. And the middle of your tongue is going to go pretty high. ah, ah. That's probably the biggest difference between an ah sound and an ah sound is that the middle of your tongue needs to be higher. Ah, gravity. Ah, gravity. Let's hear madness again. See if it happens there.
Magnus, as you
Yeah, I think in general for madness you're getting more of an ah sound. So madness and gravity do have the same vowel at the start.
know.
You have this middle section that wasn't included in the text.
Magnus, as you know.
That as you know. I would definitely put that phrase into Youglish, the as you know part, because what I think you often see with that as you know, when you have it in the middle like that, is I'm expecting a lower pitch. And that's going to give you a lot more contrast. Like madness, as you know, madness, as you know, madness, as you know. Can you hear that pitch range difference compared to the original file here?
It's a lot like grass, as you know. Magnus, as you know.
It's like madness, as you know, versus madness, as you know. So again, you can just hear the level of difference there in terms of the pitches. So I would work on trying to lower that section.
It's a lot like gravity.
Is a lot like gravity. Is a lot like gravity. Very similar thing here. We're just the range of pitches that we're using is again somewhat limited.
It's a lot like gravity, you know? It's a lot like gravity.
I'd also say your lot sound is a little bit high in placement, a little close off, like lot is a lot like versus is a lot like is a lot like. I would really try to open up that sound and try to get more breath coming through. Just to know, is a lot like
It's a lot like gravity.
it's a lot like gravity.
All
I would also go. Let me rephrase. We need to decide what word are we stressing here. Like, what's the heaviest stress?
Magnus, as you know. It's a lot like gravity.
Because everything is kind of your highest pitches are all like madness and gravity probably, and they're about equal. And I think in general, when you see sentence, you know your heaviest stress wants to go higher. Something needs to stand out more. And right now, everything's kind of sounding the same. So I would decide: are you stressing madness or are you stressing gravity? We can't pick both. Like, which one is going to get the heavier emphasis?
Magnus, as you know. It's a lot like gravity.
So if you put the heavier stress on madness, madness, as you know, is a lot like gravity. Or madness, as you know, is a lot like gravity. Just something that is really going to help make this sentence pop more. Because right now it's just sounding really flat.
A lot like gravity. All it takes is a little push.
Okay. A quick note again. So the script tag all you need versus all it takes, and that's fine. What are some pronunciation things we can say here?
All it takes is
Can you say all it takes? All it takes. So all is a little tricky because of that dark L. So it's gonna all is more aw, really open, right? All it takes. All it takes. That's your pitch pattern. Down, down, up. Make sure on it that you have a short I sound, not an E. So it's not all the. It's where all it.
takes is a little bit. All it takes is
Because I feel like all the versus all it. So watch out for that short I sound.
gravity. All it takes is a little push.
Same thing with little. Is a little. So I'll just practice saying that a little bit. Is a little. Is a little. Is a little. Compare that to is a little. Is a little versus is a little.
All it takes is a little push.
Push needs to go higher. That's your heavy stress. You know, so when you end a sentence or you end your thought group and the stressed word is at the very end, you want that pitch to go even higher. And a lot of times you want to lengthen the word because that's going to be extra heavy. When it's the very last word or the very last syllable, you want that to get a lot of emphasis. And I think right now we're kind of just missing that.
Takes is a little push.
Is a little push. Something that could help there. You could add a little bit of movement. Push, push. Not just push, more push. Add some movement onto that vowel. Just going to add a little bit more nuance to your sentence and make it sound more dynamic.
All it takes is a little push.
Yeah, so lastly, it just feels like your placement's really high for that last sentence. Like, all it takes is a little push. All it takes is a little push. Versus all it takes is a little push. So I think just lowering the placement and getting more air through your diaphragm, doing those two things is going to have a pretty profound impact on how this sounds. Because right now it's just sounding a little bit flat, get a little bit tight. All right, so thank you so much for sending that file. We appreciate it very much. Okay. Next, we have a range of delectable longer options. Might jump to that 14-second file. Sounds okay with you guys? Let me know. 14-second file. Let's see what we got here.
So many people look at walking as a very trivial thing. And sometimes they think it's just some kind of a waste of time because think about how many productive things you can do in place of just walking for 45 minutes.
Play it one more time.
So many people look at walk as a very trivial thing. And sometimes they think it's just some kind of a waste of time because think about how many productive things you can do in place of just walking for 45 minutes.
Okay, thank you for this audio file. Some things that I want to comment on, kind of similar to the last file in the sense that we feel a little bit limited. I think we can really try to expand the range of pitches here once more.
So many people look at walking as a very trivial thing.
I would put that phrase, I would put so many people, I would put that phrase into Youglish and just see, and I would try to find situations where it's at the start of a sentence, how people open up, and just pay attention to like the intonation and the energy that people are using. Because I think you're going to notice a difference. Because right now, we're just not really starting with a lot of energy.
So many people look at walking as a very trivial thing.
Versus like so many people, like when you say like so many something, so many of this, so many of that, um, like I would probably go a little higher pitch on so. It's a strong word. Like so many people look at walking as like a very trivial thing. Like something like that. I'm expecting a higher start and I'm also expecting a lower finish. Like so many people look at walking as a very trivial thing. And that's another thing that you could have opted for as well at that end. It's like very trivial thing. So you know, dumb, 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 you know, you have some heavy words there with the very and then the adjective and then the noun it's all describing. So you could there's many ways you can do it, but one way you could do that if you're trying to add some nuance is you could make those a lot punchier, like very trivial thing. Just notice like down, down, down. Very rising intonation, trivial, lower pitch, but still rising intonation, thing, lower pitch, falling intonation. Very trivial thing. It's a very trivial thing. And there's so many ways you can add some extra kick and spice and emotion to that. You know, you could drag out very like as a very trivial thing. I'll treat that as kind of like a 3-word group. 3-word groups are situations where you have 3 words that kind of come together and work as a unit. Your first word's going to get a little stress, and then your last word's going to get heavier stress. Like very trivial thing. Very trivial thing. Instead of very trivial thing. Very trivial thing. Listen to that first part again.
So many people look at walking as a very trivial thing.
Trivial is kind of getting lost there a little bit.
Very trivial thing.
Very true. Very trivial. Kind of turns to mush a little bit.
Very trivial thing.
Trivial. And I think part of the reason for that is the syllables are too equal in pitch. Trivial versus trivial. You need especially the last syllable to be at a much lower pitch than the first syllable. Trivial. Very trivial thing. Because if I just say very trivial thing, that's kind of hard to understand. Versus I say very trivial thing. Well, now I'm opening up my vowel sounds and I have greater range of my pitches, so it's easier to hear the separation between the sounds. So that's definitely something I would consider.
So many people look at walking as a very trivial thing.
Kind of feels like also you have 3 thought groups here.
So many people look at walking as a very trivial. So many people look at walking as a very trivial thing.
So many people, because it feels like the breaks are like so many people look at walking as a very trivial thing. I would see, can we link our first 2 thought groups more? Because that also may help increase the range of pitches because it's going to help you just descend, 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 descend. Like so many people look at walking as a very trivial thing. So many people look at walking. So many people look at walking. Just trying to unify those 2 thought groups, I think, will also help with the rhythm a lot. We'll keep going.
Trivial thing. And sometimes they think it's just some kind of a waste of time.
Sometimes they'll think it's just kind of a waste of time. Interesting.
And sometimes they think it's just some kind of a waste of time because
Some kind of a waste of time. Instead of it's some kind of a waste of time, I would say like some people think it's a waste of time. Some kind of a waste of time is a little bit awkward.
I think it's just some kind of a waste of time. And sometimes they think it's just some kind of a waste of time
I'm gonna compare that to the previous soccer.
as a very trivial thing. And sometimes they think it's just some kind of a waste of time.
Sometimes I think something that I think could help link these two thought groups a little bit more
Very trivial thing. And sometimes they think it's just some kind
is if we had moved and to this previous thought group. To give you an example,
and sometimes they it's a very trivial
so listen to how he says this, and I'm going to give you an alternative.
thing. And sometimes they think it's just some kind of a way.
Mm,
So
okay.
many people look at walking as a very trivial thing. And sometimes they think it's just some
So many people look at walking as a very trivial thing, and sometimes they'll think it's just a kind of. It's like I think by ending your thought group instead of before and, it just helps kind of smooth things out. And sound a little bit more. It gives you more of a flow.
very trivial thing. And sometimes they think it's just some kind of a waste of time because
Sometimes I think it's just kind of a waste of time. Again, we're just a little flat. What are we stressing? What's our emphasis?
thing. And sometimes they think it's just some kind of a waste of time because
And sometimes they'll think it's just kind of a waste of time. Like something like that. And sometimes they'll think it's just kind of a waste of time. So either stressing sometimes or either stressing time more, whatever you choose, fine. But something needs to get more emphasis because right now we're just so flat.
and sometimes they think it's just some kind of a waste of time
Because for that whole sequence from and down to time, your pitch register stays exactly the same. But if we had raised or lowered on one of the thought groups, and sometimes they'll think, so maybe going higher there, and sometimes they'll think that we go lower. It's just kind of a waste of time. And sometimes they'll think it's just kind of a waste of time, or the opposite. And sometimes they'll think it's just kind of a waste of time. So playing around with the pitches still because it's just sounding a little bit flat.
some kind of a waste of time because
I like the because. I would go lower on the second syllable. Time because right now your B and your cuz are about at the same pitch. We want to take cuz even lower. Okay, because waste of time because
some kind of a waste of time because
time a waste of time because so again just dragging that lower, it's going to add more contrast.
think about how many productive things you can do in place of just walking for 45 minutes.
This is just walking for 45 minutes. I would go lower on minutes.
Do in place of just walking for 45 minutes.
45 minutes versus walking for 45 minutes. Walking for 45 minutes. You see how much lower I'm going on minutes. So again, just going to add more contrast there to what you're saying.
Time because think about how many productive things you can do.
Think about how many productive. Again, I think when we talk about contrast, a lot of times we're talking about pitch, which makes sense. But there's other tools you can use too. And right now, everything you're saying is about at also the same speed. Listen to this and note how every word and every syllable takes about the same amount of time.
So many people look at walking as a very trivial thing. And sometimes they think it's just some kind of a waste of time because think about how many productive things you can do in place of just walking for 45 minutes.
Everything's the same speed. Versus so many people look at walking as a very trivial thing. And sometimes they'll think it's just kind of a waste of time because think about how many productive things you can do in place of walking for 45 minutes. So notice that I changed some things. Emmanuel knows pauses. I added some pauses there, but I also lengthened some words and I also said some words faster. So when we're adding contrast, it's not just about pitch, it's also about speed. It can also be about volume. So, like, anytime you switch it up, it's like a pattern interrupt. If you're ever watching a video and you see that, like, sometimes you get this angle sometimes you get like this angle, sometimes you get another angle after, a couple seconds. Why are we doing this? Well, we're doing things to keep it fresh. Visually, you can do the same things in terms of your speaking. So just kind of mixing things up. We need more contrast in what we're saying. Besides that, other things, just kind of listening for vowels, consonants, see if anything sounds awkward or anything.
So many people look at walking as a very trivial thing. And sometimes they think it's just some kind of a waste of time because Think about how many productive things you can do in place of just walking for 4 or 5 minutes.
Why don't you listen to the phrase "in place of just"?
Think about how many productive things you can do in place of just.
In place of just. In place of just. It feels like your placement's really really high. Okay, so I would try to send your placement down a little bit. Try to get more air through. Like in place of just. In place of just. And I think that's really going to help open things up. All right. Thank you so much for sending that audio. We do appreciate it. Let me know, guys. I do have a challenge for you. Let me know. If you had to add a little bit more English to your life today, in terms of English speaking, what would you do? Just kind of a question I have for you.
Question.
I just also want to give a quick update on some things if you're finding this helpful. Cool. I appreciate it. You can let me know in the chat. We have so many things and tools and resources out there to help you out, no matter where you are, physically, but also emotionally, or in terms of just your life situation. So, for instance, we have our YouTube channel. Just to let you know, for $5 a month, we have a Telegram group where every single day I give you a little bit of corrections. We also have a WhatsApp group that's free, but the thing with the WhatsApp group is that not everyone gets corrections every day. I choose like 3 files. And those lucky 3 people, they get feedback from me. But if you're trying to get feedback for yourself every single day of the week, well, then that's what the Telegram group is for. And if you want to elevate that even more, we have a program called Mission English that meets 2 times a day, Monday through Friday. We guarantee at least 30 of these classes a month, in addition to 5 writing sessions. You can see we have writing sessions on the weekends. We had one this morning. We'll have another one tomorrow. Okay, so if you're studying, for instance, for IELTS, you need to write business emails and things like that. Well, Saturdays and Sundays at 7:30 a.m. on Saturday, New York time, 8 a.m. Sunday, New York time. We can look at your writing. But then we also have these pronunciation classes. So each class that you see meets 3 different time zones. So we meet at 1:30 p.m. New York on Monday, on Tuesday, and on Thursday for a conversation class. Then again on Friday. We meet at 8 o'clock p.m. New York on Monday. We do that again on Wednesday. We do that on Thursday. And we also meet at 9:30 in the morning on Tuesdays, on Wednesdays, and on Fridays. And if you join Mission English, you can come to as many of those classes as we have. Again, we do a minimum of 30 pronunciation classes and then a minimum of 5 writing classes every single month. Okay, it's just something to keep in mind. Hello to Finn checking in. Hello also. Shok saying, hey, to Edwards. Definitely, again, if you're interested in trying to work with me in a pronunciation class every single day of the week, this is your opportunity to do so. In addition to that, you may have heard that we have started our new program, which I'm super, super excited about. Okay, because lots of things happening. So our new program is called The Conservatory. You can find it if you go to fluentamerican.com/conservatory. And what this is it's an intense service where I work with you at a time that works for your schedule, Monday through Friday, 30 minutes each day. We're working one-on-one to study things like consonants, vowel sounds, linking reductions, placement, breath, pitch, all that fun stuff. And our goal is to make as many audio or video files as we can, whether that's one or, hey, if we can do more, we'll do more, that you will feel comfortable either just keeping to yourself so you can track your own progress, or if you want to do other things, like you want to maybe start your own channel, you want to start your own podcast, or whatever you want to do, you want to share on social media your English, whether for your personal life or for your business, well, then this is for you, because we directly work on your content and help you use English in your content in a way that sounds as natural as possible. Again, you don't have to make content with it. It's just an option. You can also just keep it to yourself. In addition to that, we have a group call once a month where all the other members of the conservatory, we talk about our projects and things like that. If you join the conservatory once, you get to join us on our group calls forever. It's lifetime access. You may not be able to appear on screen with me, but you will get access to the call so you can hear the audio, or if it's a video, you'll be able to watch the video. That's just a note on that. Our goal, again, is to help you guarantee progress in your pronunciation, because we're working one-on-one every single day of the week. Okay. We're specifically targeting people who are really, you have to be dedicated, firstly. Like, this is, if you're just casual about this, pronunciation, obviously not the program for you. Okay, you have to be willing to meet with me Monday through Friday. If you miss a day, you miss a day. You know, and ideally you have a specific interest or area that you would like to talk about. Okay. We are taking students for our July cohort. Okay, it starts on July 3rd. Right now, there are three, maybe two places I'm in talks with a student right now. Okay, so there's not a whole lot of spots for this. And if this sounds like something that you're interested in, you can schedule a free consultation with me so we can talk for about 15 minutes. Just kind of talk about your plan, something that you would like to do during the 3 weeks when we work together. So that way we can ensure your success and make sure we have things that are reasonable for expectations. Or if you just want to find more information about the program, you can fill out this information here. But again, all of this is available at fluentamerican.com at the conservatory. We'd be happy to work with you. Right, thanks for letting me plug that a little bit. I see Vivid has sent us a file, which is great. We'll add that to the queue. And again, there is still time to send in your pronunciation files. If you go to our Google Doc, it's in the video description. You can follow the steps up top, so that way you can send in your own pronunciation files. And there is still time. Okay. Shok says the stream has immaculate vibes as always. Yes. Yes. And we also have a question. From Finn. He has a question about final T's. Okay. It would be helpful if you had a specific word. You know, the trouble with T's is that there's so many ways to pronounce them. And the reality is that T sounds, you know, aside from a T at the start of a word or at the start of a stressed syllable, T is very often not pronounced as a T. It's very rare where you get like a T that sounds like t, t. So, some options for T's. For instance, there are what are called silent T's. Okay, so these will typically occur after letter N. For instance, in a word like center or interview. There are also what you mentioned as like a flap D or a fast D sound. There's lots of situations for that, but that's typically when you have a T plus an L or an R. Like a T plus an L would be like little, to give you an example, or when you have an R plus a T and then a vowel. So for instance, like party or 40, that would be a fast D sound. Okay. Or when you have a vowel plus a T plus a vowel, for instance, a word like city. Okay, so those would be your fast D sounds. And then the last one would be, and I think this is what you're talking about, is a held T or a stop T. So if you're saying that some people you're having a hard time finding content about it, on my channel as well as many other channels, the concept you want to look up is called a held T or a stop T. And this kind of mentions the words that you're describing here. For instance, you gave example of the word late, and you also give the example of kill it. Now, this is not the same thing as a silent T. Okay, and it's not exactly the same thing as a glottal T, although some people will call it that. So when you have words, for instance, like late or kill it, this is a situation where, again, you're going to get a held T, where basically what's happening is you are not releasing the breath on the T sound. However, that does not mean that the breath is going to stop completely. Okay, to give you an example, if I say a sentence like, if I say, this is just the first example that came to mind. So if I say the sentence like cut with precision. So notice I'm not saying cut with precision, but I'm also not saying cut with, and I'm also not saying like cut with, like where I'm just taking the T off completely. No, it's cut with precision, cut with precision. So in this sort of situation, this would be a held T. I don't want to block the air too much. So it's not cut with, because that's really choppy. Okay, so instead, what you want to do in this sort of situation is, again, I don't want to say cut. You want to make sure that that t is not fully pronounced, but you also want to keep the air moving. So you end up with something that sounds like cut with, cut with. And in fact, I would say that like 3 times, like cut with, cut with, cut with, cut with. So again, it's not cut with, but it's also not cut with, and it's not cut with, It's cut with, cut with, cut with. Okay, so it's almost like a very light glottal stop, trying to keep the air moving. That's going to be the key thing there. Okay. But yeah, the concept that you'll want to review for that, it would again be called a held T or a stop T? Just a no. Very good question there. All right. Going to take some quick water, but in the meantime, a quick reminder.
Like what you're hearing? Let us know by liking and subscribing.
Also, I feel like I look very pale. And I know I'm in general floor palish. Let me I want to make the light a little warmer. Give me 1 second. While I do that, you can get rocked with some nice chilling tunes as I adjust the mood lighting. Well, it's a little less pale. I can make it warmer later. What else? Fin going more into detail. Yeah, like I said, definitely take a look at the again. Take a look at that held sound. That's gonna get you what you need. Alrighty, let's get back to files. If that sounds cool with you, say cool. Who next? Where are we at in time? Where are we at in time? How do you ever find out where you are in time? We're at 36. I'm just going to put in 37. Period after. Cool. Who is next? I think a lot of our other ones are kind of long files. I am remembering timestamps. I'm trying to. Oh, I'm not sharing my sound. That could be a problem. Oh my god, question coming in. All right, let's address this question and we'll try to jump back. Hello to Mehmet. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. Why are we not able to speak like native speakers? I'm trying to speak like a native speaker for 2 years. We need to know how much time. From Istanbul in Turkey. Hi. I like the hi at the end. Why can I do that? How can I do this? Oh, by the way, hi. That's great. I mean, there can be so many factors to this. You know, there's really no secret when it comes to speaking. If you want to get better at speaking, you have to speak. So my very first question for anyone that's kind of wondering these sorts of things, my very first question would be, how much time are you speaking? How much time are you speaking every day? Are you speaking for 30 minutes? Cool. Are you speaking for an hour? Cool. If you're speaking an hour, let's imagine that you're speaking for an hour of English every day. And maybe you're speaking for less or maybe you're speaking for more. But let's imagine you're speaking for an hour. Okay. Cool. So that means that you're speaking for an hour a day. Then that means that at the end of the week, you have spoken for 7 hours. Good job. That's certainly one way to look at it. But we also need to think of the other side too. So you spoke for 7 hours. If you spoke for an hour every day, that's 7 hours out of 168 hours. Well, now how does that sound good to you, or does that sound like little? And you have to answer that honestly. Maybe for your situation, that is a lot. Maybe for your situation, though, you're like, 7 hours out of 168. I mean, maybe I can do more. I don't know. It depends on you. Maybe you're speaking for less than that. Maybe you're speaking for half an hour every day. Okay. So that means at the end of the week, then you're at half that, right? So you're about 3.5 hours a week out of 168, right? Or another way to kind of think about this too, you know, it's just math. You know, it's just numbers. It's so if you speak every day, cool, 5 hours. Sounds great. That's 365 hours out of 8,760 hours in a year. So if you speak for an hour every day, that'll give you 365 hours out of a possible 8,760. Does that sound like a lot to you, or does that sound like a little? So the question I have for you then, if depending on whatever your answer to that question is how can you add 5 more minutes of speaking to your life every day? If you had to speak for English for 5 more minutes, this is life or death. If you can't speak for 5 more minutes in the language you're learning every day, you die. Imagine that. How would you do it? How would you add 5 more minutes to your day? I haven't seen your answer. I literally don't know how many hours you're speaking in English every day. I literally don't know. But let's also give some other context. So let's say, for instance, you worked at a job where you spoke in English. Well, and let's say it's a standard job, like 40-hour work week. Okay, so yeah, maybe you're not speaking in English that entire 40 hours, but the reality is that there might be times where you speak in one day more English than a lot of people do in an entire week in one day. Because maybe in one day you spoke, maybe you do a lot of meetings, you maybe do a lot of presentations. And so it ends up being that, oh yeah, today I spoke in 8 hours in English today. It was wild. My brain hurts, you know? Let's go to your example here. So you're saying maybe 2. And we're saying maybe. When people say maybe, I usually round down. But I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's say you're doing 2 hours. Okay. So that gives you, okay, so 2 hours every day. So that puts you at 14 hours out of 168. How do you get that to 15 hours? How do you get that to 20 hours? You know? Don't get me wrong, like an hour a day is great. But we also have to be realistic. From in the grand scheme of things, an hour a day might not actually be that much. So, you know, I think that's the thing we really need to consider. Say that they work in a reception at a hotel. Okay. We also have to think about, the quality of our speaking too. If we're just always using the same phrases every single time, well, yeah, we might get really good at those phrases. But then if we need to talk about some other topics, might be a little challenging, you know? I think this actually brings up I wanted to add a new segment to our streams. So we're going to try this out. So I want to show you about some opportunities. If you are curious about trying to add more English to your life, I want to just highlight for you a couple things that are going on that you might want to check out. And everything I'm about to show you is through a website called meetup.com. There's plenty of other sites. Okay. Oh, thank you, Shok. Shok. Oh, Shok, I said I wouldn't cry today. No. Oh, thank you. Okay. Anyways, I wanted to show you guys some resources. So everything I'm going to show you right now, this is through a website called meetup.com. Okay, so when you go to meetup.com, I'll show you what the site looks like. Walk you through things I found that are coming out this week. Thing I want to show you are some things coming in May and a couple different time zones, but these are just examples. And so this is meetup.com. When you go here, you're gonna go up top. And I know you're not here. Most likely you're not here, but I don't care. I want you to type in the city of New York, or if LA is a better time zone, you type in LA. Okay. And then when it says, it's going to give you this thing here. When it says any type, you're going to switch to online. Okay. So now I'm going to find a bunch of events that are online that are happening in New York. Why am I choosing New York? Who lives in New York? Native speakers. So these are going to be online events that native speakers are attending with people that you can talk to. If you're brave, you have to be brave to do this. Are you brave? Mehmet, are you brave? Shok, are you brave? Edward, are you guys brave? So I've highlighted a couple things. I have no idea if these are your interests. I would encourage you. I don't know what your interests are, guys, so I don't know what to type in. Okay, so these are just random events, but if you're interested in things that can happen online, like a book club, even a language exchange, whatever, you can type this in here. But here are just some quick ones that I found. Coffee with this is happening 8:30 in the morning, New York time. Edward says he's brave. Appreciate you, Edward. This is happening at 8:30 in the morning, New York time. They meet every week on Tuesday. Okay? So let's see. Coffee with caregivers. I don't know if you're a caregiver or not, if there's anyone that you're taking care of. But even if you're not, stop by and they can always say, hey, you're not a caregiver. You need to leave. you know? So this is the first one I'm finding. Okay? It's just basically talking to other people, trying to do some self-care. Okay, so the very first thing I found. Go nuts. If you do caregiving or you're interested in finding out more about caregiving, go here. 8:30 in the morning, New York time. See if that works out for you. Next one I found. It's called the Lean Coffee Hour. All right. This is on Wednesday. It's another morning one. Because I know time zones can be crazy. So I specifically chose things that are morning East Coast time because I know a lot of you guys are Europe based, Middle Eastern based, Asian based. So these times might work out for you. Okay. This is Tuesday. Excuse me, this is on Wednesdays. Online events. It's a limited space, so you do need to register. This is on the 31st. Okay. It's an informal gathering. They talk about random stuff. You can get a free poster for the USA only. So if you're USA based, you can get a poster. So they already got people lined up. Cool. Sounds like something you're interested in. If you're interested in like Agile, or even if you don't know what that is, you can go there and you can ask them, hey, what's Agile? I'm interested in it. Go there. Yeah. Oh, we need coffee hour. Found two things for you. The art of forgiveness. In my Mission English group, we have a couple people that do like meditation and things like that, which is great. People interested in like mental health stuff. When they're looking for a donation, you don't necessarily have to pay a donation. They would help them. If you go, I would say, hey, give $1. This is a slightly different time. So this is on Tuesday, 1 p.m. 1 p.m. New York time. Okay. It's about forgiveness, meditation, journaling. A lot of these things are also things that meet very regularly. So that's a great thing for you because that means that if you go multiple times, most likely you're going to see some of the same people. You get to know them, they get to know you. You start building that relationship. You start making friends. That's what, if you're interested in practicing speaking, that's what you really need. You need some native speaking friends. And lastly, for my people who are my crafters, anyone a crafter out there? Anyone do any crafting, crocheting, knitting, things like that? Okay. They do some. They do Zoom meetings. They want your camera on. A lot of people. Great chance to meet some new people. So if you want to do some crafting together, it's an online event. This is on Sunday. This is tomorrow. You guys can sign up for this for tomorrow. If anyone goes, let me know. You can sign up. You have to request to join. It's free. Do you guys like free? If you're here, you probably like free. All right. Check this one out. That's just 4. Those are just 4 random ones I found for you. I don't know what your hobbies are. Hopefully this works out. So anyways, get talking. How do you add 5 more minutes of English to your life? How do you add 5 more minutes of speaking to your life? What you gonna do? There's no secret to this, guys. The more time you put in, the faster you get better. So beta, I haven't spoken English for a long time. I may record a video or audio. We had a speaking challenge in 2009 or 2019. I would talk for 7 or so hours a day for 3 months. That's great. Do you feel like that helped you? And we're answering this question again because we had a question from Mehmet asking about how to speak. Get some tips. All right. Let's go back to files. Do you guys like files? I heard you guys like sound files. All right, so let's take a look at these. What's next? Oh, we got some long ones. Did we do this one already? Is this Sycamores?
I've got an East Coast trip coming up, and
Oh, really? Manuel, you coming to the East Coast? Is that you? Let's do some timestamps. Where are we at? Where are we at in time? Where are we in time? 30. This one? I think it was this one.
I've got an East Coast trip coming up, and
East Coast trip coming up. Okay. Our audio. May I imagine this is shadowing? That could be wrong.
I've got an East Coast trip coming up in 2 days, and I'm going. I'm doing something that I only do once a year. Actually, one time a year, which is give a commencement address.
Oh, fancy. They can pay you good money to do that. Not always, but they can. Let's see what we got.
I've got an East Coast trip coming up in 2 days.
East Coast trip. I would listen to. Okay, so you say you're shadowing. I would see how they link coast to trip
I've got an East Coast trip coming up.
because that sounds a little high. Like East Coast trip, East Coast trip. That sounds a little high versus East Coast trip coming up. I would not be surprised if the pitch is a little lower on a trip.
I've got an East Coast trip coming up in 2 days.
Coming up in.
Got an East Coast trip coming up in 2 days, and I'm going. I'm
So the going that part.
And I'm going.
Feels a little high in placement, like versus I'm going just trying to open up that schwa sound a little bit. Some more so instead where see if you can hear that on the schwa.
And I'm going. I'm doing something that I only do once a year.
Something that I only do once a year. Emmanuel makes the note that the audio was much lower on trip. Something to pay attention to. Always watch out for those pitches, okay? Not this part.
Doing something that I only do.
I'm doing something. I wouldn't be surprised also if something's a little higher in pitch. I mean, maybe it's here, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's higher because that's probably your stress.
Something that I only do once a year.
Something I only do once a year. Yep. I'm not disagreeing with how you read this, Emmanuel, but I would be curious to see if that's actually how he said this part.
Something that I only do once a year. Actually, one time a year. Which
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes a little lower on year, like one time a year, like one time a year, a little lower on that, or at the end, one time a year.
Time a year, which is give a commencement address.
Commencement address. I'm guessing that the way he said it was commencement address. I think he was probably lower on address.
Which is give a commencement address.
Commencement address versus commencement address. I would listen to that file and see how he says that part. Let's listen again, see if there's any vowels or consonants that kind of stand out.
I've got an East Coast trip coming up in 2 days, and I'm going. I'm doing something that I only do once a year. Actually, one time a year, which is give a commencement address.
Yeah, one time a year, which is give a commencement address. Yeah, so I would say listen to those parts I identify where I thought it sounded a little strange in terms of rhythm. I think the general like vowels and things are okay. Just some of those places I identified. Let's take a look at the linking and the reductions.
I've got an East Coast trip coming up in 2 days.
Coming up and maybe even lower pitch on in coming up in 2 days. So coming up in 2 days. See how he says the in. I wouldn't be surprised if he reduces it further.
2 days. Strip coming up in 2 days.
Coming up in versus coming up in 2 days. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it's lower.
And I'm going. I'm doing something that I only do once a year. Actually, one time a year, which is give a commencement address.
Yeah, I think the general ideas here. I can hear you're adding contrast. I think everything's clear. Nothing's sounding mushy. I thought the vowels and things were okay. I think there's just some places where the rhythm might be doing things a little differently than the original audio. I would say in the future, I don't know if you have the software to do this. It certainly is possible. I can do this, I know, but I don't know if you can. If you could attach the original audio with it, so that way it'll help me give you better feedback for it, because I don't want to tell you, oh, do this when the speaker is doing something completely different. So again, there are places that I would ask you to kind of check to verify they're doing what you are doing.
I've got an East Coast trip coming up in 2 days.
So I would do the trip coming up in 2 days. Listen to that part.
Days, and I'm going. I'm doing.
Listen to the sound.
Something that I only do once a year.
Oh, I would listen to that once a year part. Something that I only do once a year. I mean, he might do it that way, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually pretty different.
Actually, one time a year.
I would expect year to go down a little lower.
Which is give a commencement address.
And then watch out for. I'm expecting address to commencement address. I'm expecting that part to go lower. I could be wrong. It was just my expectations for that file. So yeah, I take a listen to yours and listen to his for those specific spots I identified, and kind of get an idea, like, are you noticing any differences in terms of the pitches that you're using and things? That'd be my biggest suggestion there. Thank you, Emmanuel. Appreciate your file. I think, again, the general sounds and things I think are fine. I just want to make sure we're using the same rhythms. All right. We had a special time request. Oh my gosh.
Question.
Please give me feedback after this. I gotta go. I can. So one of the things I mentioned earlier is that we have a couple different groups. Okay. Thanks to Emmanuel. So thanks for the feedback. But one thing that I mentioned is that we have a couple different groups. So for instance, we have a WhatsApp group where I gave a challenge and people send in their own audio files, and then I pick like 3. And then we also have a Telegram group where instead of picking 3, I give everyone feedback, and people can do past challenges and things like that. So if you're just trying to get some quick free feedback, that's what our general is for. Okay. But if you want guaranteed feedback every single day of the week, then that is really what our Telegram group is for. That's a big difference between the WhatsApp group. It's limited feedback. I only pick like 2 or 3 files a day. The Telegram group, you can send in 3, 4, 5 files a day, and I'll try to give you feedback within 24 hours. Me and my assistant. So we're going to take a look at Zubaida. She's in our WhatsApp group. So we're going to take a look at that. Give me one moment, and we'll see what she has sent us, which I'm excited about. What's our WhatsApp group like? Not like that. It does not look like that. Group looks like this. Hello, WhatsApp group. Okay. Okay, there's a file here. She wasn't sure what to say, so I said, say that sentence. You don't know what to say. So let's take a listen.
What to say?
Okay, if you guys can see that, I'll play that again.
Easier, but I don't know what to say.
It's easier, but I don't know what to say.
It's easier, but I don't know what to say.
Okay. I like the first half especially.
It's easier.
I would go lower and pitched on the R, because I think you get a little stuck. Easier. It's easier versus it's easier. 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 The R needs to go a little lower in pitch, and then maybe even add a slight rise in your intonation. If you're not done talking, easier. It's easier. Okay.
It's easier, but I don't know what to say.
I would also say, so then after that, we have our new thought group, right? It's easier, but, and then our next part, you probably want to go lower in pitch. Okay, so you want to go down a little bit more. It's easier, but it's easier, but.
Yeah, but I don't know what to say.
And the other thing, but so again, we're saying, but I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. But I don't know what to. So what's happening is almost every single syllable that we're giving is at the same pitch. But I don't know what to. And we need way more contrast. You know, if something's not being stressed, then your movement and pitch in general needs to be moving down. Needs to be trending downwards. But I don't know what to say. But I don't know what to say. When you're the way you're saying it right now,
easier, but I don't know what
it sounds
to
like you're
say.
stressing. I don't know what to say. It sounds like you're stressing I and say. I would just stress say, but I don't know what to say. It's easier, but I don't know what to say. It's easier, but I don't know what to say. You know, and just doing that, it's going to add so much more contrast to what you're saying. It's going to be so much easier for your listener to understand you. Okay, so we can't stay flat. Every time we say a syllable that's not stressed, in general, we want to start going down, down, down. It's easier, but I don't know what to say. But I don't know what to say. And then those sounds say you're going to go at a higher pitch. Play that one more time, see if anything else comes up.
It's easier, but I don't know what to say.
But I don't know what to say. But I don't know what to say. Okay. I think the other thing too is just placement. We're really high. We're a little tight, so we're not letting a whole lot of breath through. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. And I think using some of those lower pitches is also going to help open things up to get more breath through. Okay. So just some quick thoughts there. Thanks for sending the file. We appreciate you. Who's up next?
So many people look at.
We did that one. Got 2 files. We got 24, 24. Gosh, it's a sign. I don't know what it's a sign of, but it is. It's a sign. All right, let's. What's our time? What is time? Time is a social construct by which we all must abide. One of my friends always says. Okay, who's next? Let's see.
Farewell, my living Eve, and thanks to you and to my mother for all of your efforts, and praying that one day we will meet again in the upper paradise. Amen.
Amen. Good job on Choke, giving us that drama. Those theatrics. Say it one more time.
Farewell, my living Eve, and thanks to you
That was.
and to my nursing mothers for all of your efforts, and praying that one day we will meet again in the upper paradise. Amen.
Okay. I have 3 quick comments, and then we'll kind of go deeper. Paradise. Stress the first syllable. Instead of paradise. Paradise. Stress the first syllable. Paradise. And what was praying that one day we'll meet again? I think sometimes your A sounds get a little tense towards the end of the vowel. So, for instance, on praying, like praying that one day, it's like that part. Just trying to open up those A sounds, get a little more air through. It's like praying that one day, praying that one day. Trying to open those things up just a little bit more. I think it'll be helpful.
Farewell, my living Eve.
Oh, the very last thing I was going to say, efforts. I really like how you said efforts. I thought efforts sounded super, super natural. Especially that R sound at the end. That was a very good R.
Farewell, my living Eve.
I would have expected this to be said Eve. Usually we see EVE, it's Eve. Now, you're pulling this from something and they pronounce it as Eve, so I don't want to say that's wrong. But Typically, I would pronounce this as Eve.
And thanks to you and to my nursing mothers.
Thanks to you. Say part again.
And thanks to you and to my nursing.
Thanks to you. So we've talked a lot about pitch, and I want to just kind of use this as a demonstration of, when you have pitches and you're switching thought groups, this is kind of what we're talking about. Listen to where we are at thanks to you.
You and my living Eve. And thanks to you.
So we're up here. Thanks to you. And then notice what happens in the next thought group.
And to my nursing mothers.
And thanks to you. And to my, do you hear how everything just kind of shifted lower? So again, that's the movement that you want. You want to, when you're changing thought groups, to have some either movement up or down. In this case, we're going down. I like that.
For all of your efforts.
What do you hear that for all of your?
For all of your efforts.
I really like efforts. I think I would like that same R sound you have on efforts to also be on for and your or your. I think you're reducing it, which is fine.
Mothers. For all of your efforts.
For all of your efforts. For all of your efforts. I'll just try to go a little lighter on those R sounds on for and especially on your. For all of your efforts.
Praying that one.
That again highlights that A sound. Praying. The placement feels really high to me. Praying versus praying. Same thing. Day versus day.
We will meet again in the upper paradise.
And then paradise.
Amen.
Wait, Shok, are you writing a play? Is this you? Let us know what you're doing. I see the bye. She becoming a thespian, yo. All right, but those are just my quick thoughts there. If you have any questions about anything I just mentioned in that, be sure to let me know. But thank you, Shok, for sending us that file. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. And just a reminder, guys, so if you're just joining us, hi, my name is Jeff. This is the Schwa Mill, where again, every single Saturday at this time, we listen to pronunciation files that students send us in American English, and we give suggestions for pronunciation to see how we can achieve a more natural sound. Are you making a play or something about your grandfather's story, though? That's cool. Keep it in the family. That's what's up. Good job, Shok. Shok, we're also proud of you. But again, so what we do today is we listen to pronunciation files that people have sent us, so you can take a look at all, if you just joined us, all the previous things that we have done. But I also want you to be mindful of other services that we have at all different kinds of levels. So for instance, this is the channel. Our channel is free for everybody because everyone should have access to resources for pronunciation. Again, I mentioned we also have a WhatsApp group that is free. But if you want to take it to the next level, we have opportunities for that as well. We have our Telegram group where you pay for $5 for the month, and then you get access to our Telegram group where every single day you can submit 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes more pronunciation files, and you get feedback from me and our pronunciation assistant, whose name is Lenore. She's great. Worked with her for years. She's actually one of the first teachers I hired a long time ago. And so if that sounds like something you're interested in, that's our Telegram group. You can go to fluentamerican.com to join that. We also have our Mission English program. Mission English is a private Facebook group where we do live stream classes where I'm here, and if you join us, well, you can appear like over there. Or for instance, sometimes we do like this format, so like there's up to 4 students on screen with me, and we just do exercises. All of our classes are saved in the private Facebook group too. So right now we're approaching 300, which is wow. 300 classes almost in the group. Okay. Which again is Mission English. And we meet at all these different times. So we meet at 1:30 p.m. New York. We meet at 8 o'clock p.m. New York. And we also meet at 9:30 in the morning, New York time. And then Saturday and Sunday, we also have writing, half-hour writing classes. Okay, so Mission English, certainly an opportunity that if you're trying to take your pronunciation practice to the next level, one of the key things you really need to consider. We talked about this earlier. Pronunciation, a second language, it's just time. There's no secret to this. It's time. The more time you put in, the better you get. So if pronunciation is something you're serious about, then we need to try to make time for pronunciation a little bit every day. So that's what a lot of our services are about, including also one last service I just want to mention really quick. that you can also get a free consultation for is our conservatory program. Now, this is our most serious program. This is not for everybody. This is only for people if you are serious about your pronunciation, you want to take it to the next level, and you want to have a record of your growth. This is what we do. We work together daily, Monday through Friday, trying to create video content or audio content. For instance, like whether it's a video for like a YouTube channel for social media, or like a audio for like a podcast, or if you just want to keep it for yourself, you don't have to send it anywhere, and that's fine too. You get to work with me every single day, Monday through Friday, for a 3-week period. It's a total of 15 classes. We're going to study all the things that are necessary for a natural accent, like linking, reductions, vowel sounds, pitch, placement, breath. Okay. And then additionally, there's a monthly group call. So in addition to those 15 classes, you also get to join a group call. And if you join the conservatory once, you get access to the call for the rest of the program's lifetime. So lifetime access to our group calls. Okay. You may not be able to join me on screen, but you'll get access to watch or listen to it. Okay. And we're going to guarantee you're going to grow in your pronunciation, and you're going to have content that you're going to feel much more comfortable about sharing on your social media pages or just keeping on your own computer. Okay. This, again, does require people who are dedicated and focused for the 3-week session. You need to be passionate about, you need to have an interest outside of English too that we can talk about. Okay. Create content around. And our first cohort is beginning on July 3rd. Our very first cohort begins on July 3rd. Spots are extremely limited. Because I'm working so intensely with students, there's not that many openings. So we currently have 3 openings left. That's actually honestly about to change because I'm in talks with a couple people for July. So if you want to get started with me for July, this is the time to do it. And if you want to start kind of planning or find out more information about it, a couple things you could do. You could schedule a free call with me. What that looks like, click this, then you'll see my schedule. It's a free 15-minute call, or you can just ask for some basic information through here. So lots of different options if you're trying to be serious about taking your pronunciation to the next level. We have so many different things that you can do. All right. All right. Some other things I have missed. Question. How's amen really pronounced? You'll hear amen and you'll hear amen. Just a note. Amen and amen. Hello to Justin. Thanks for checking in, Justin. Justin also asked, is it too late to send audios? It is not too late. You can still send an audio file, though I do encourage you to try to do it soon. Okay. Also, other things, approaching 300 classes. Yeah, we're definitely rapidly approaching. I think we'll get there June or July. I think is when we get there. All right. I see I have one more original file. And then I have... What's the wrong button? Probably pressed the wrong. Okay, so I see one file from original and then Vivid's file, which I'm excited about. Let us take a look at these last 2 that I currently see. Unless Justin is going to float us one soon. Timestamp. Sharing my screen. Crossing my fingers. Bam. Okay. So let's see what we got here. This one's an 8-second file.
A purple pig and a green donkey flew a kite in the middle of the night and ended up sunburned.
What? I'm confused by this story. Hang on.
A purple pig and a green donkey flew a kite in the middle of the night and ended up sunburned.
All right. Well, that was there's no text here. So I hope I'm understanding things okay. So let's play it from the beginning. We got questions. I have questions. But we're not here to discuss that. We're just here to listen and give pronunciation advice. All right, so let's listen to the first part.
A purple pig.
I would say purple. We'll see your purple again.
A purple pig.
I'm in general okay with pig. I hear a short I sound, which is good. Purple feels a little bit closed off to me, like purple versus purple. So again, we have to be careful with R sounds. I think that there's a tendency for people to cause them to really dominate and become super strong. But instead of an a lot of times it's more of an so it's not it's not purple, it's more purple. It's like a purple, purple. Let's try to get a little more breath through on that R. It could also be the L sound in purple that's causing the issue. So you can practice. Can you say like per, purple, per, purple? Try to figure out where's the placement rising. Because if you're saying but then you're saying per, well, now you know adding that P is causing your placement to rise. Or if you say per, but then you say purple, well, now you know that the L is causing your placement to rise. Okay, so watching out for that. Try to keep things a little lower and open.
A purple pig and a green donkey flew.
And a green donkey, a purple pig and a green donkey. I would go a little higher pitch on donkey.
Pig and a green donkey
and a green donkey
flew a kite in the middle of the night. Green donkey flew a kite in the middle of the night.
Okay. One thing I like here, I like your contrast in terms of speed. You have this section where you speed up with the reduction in the middle of the. It's like in that part going faster, which I like because I think that's something a lot of people have been missing today. Is again, we mentioned it earlier, when you're adding contrast, it's not just about pitch; it can also be about speed and volume. So I like that movement.
Green donkey flew a kite in the middle of the night.
I think you're saying in the middle of the night, threw a kite in the middle of the night. You can, if you're here, you can let me know. If you're watching the replay, let me know if I'm mishearing that.
And a green donkey flew a kite in the middle of the night.
The part of the reason why I'm not entirely sure if that's right.
And a green donkey flew a kite.
Flew. If you're saying flew, try to open up your oo sounds. So it's not flew a kite. It's where flew a kite. A little more breath would be very helpful there.
Donkey flew a kite.
It's like flew a kite versus flew a kite. And this goes back to purple too. I'm wondering if it's the L sound in purple because flew also has that L sound. And it just feels really tight and closed off. It's like flew. It's not flew. It's more flew. So we're trying to open that up.
Donkey flew a kite in the middle of the night.
Same thing with middle.
Donkey flew a kite in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the, because like flew. I think the kite in the mid. I think that part to me sounds open enough, but then middle closes again with the L.
Flew a kite in the middle of the night.
Middle of the night. Middle of the night.
In the middle of the night.
Middle of the. So again, I think it might be L sounds, where again we're just kind of closing off as like middle of, because it's also impacting your schwa of.
Flew a kite in the middle of the night.
Middle of the versus middle of the. Try to get of a little more sound.
And it ended up sunburned night. And it ended up sunburned. A kite in the middle of the night. And it ended up sunburned.
Ended up for that part. I think you're saying ended up, right?
Night. And it ended up sun.
And ended up. And ended up. I think what your pitches on ended are a little similar to each other, so it's a little bit unclear.
In the middle of the night. And it ended up sun.
And ended up. And ended up. Try to add more contrast there. You need to go down more. And ended up. Ended up. Ended up. So like just go down a little bit more to add more contrast, to separate your syllables better.
And it ended up sunburned.
And then sunburned. Logically, I'm very confused, but I'm going to focus on pronunciation.
Night. And it ended up sunburned.
It sounds like you're stressing sun, but then you really stress burned. And sunburned is a compound noun. So it's two things, right? You have sun and then you have burned, and that joins together to make a single thing. And when that happens in American English, what you need to do is you need to put the stress on the first syllable. So it's not sunburned, it's sunburned. Sunburned. So you need to go lower pitch on burned. Ended up sunburned.
And ended up sunburned.
Do that sunburned versus sunburned. So you need to go lower in pitch on burned, and that's really going to help add some separation. If I'm understanding right, the logic of the story is losing me, but pronunciation wise, that's what I'm hearing. You can let me know if I completely heard you wrong on some of these things, and my apologies if that is the case. All right. Right. Moving on. I see one more file. Justin, I don't see your file. If you have a file, cool. You need to add it like soon. If you don't have a file, that's cool too. It's up to you. But beyond that, let's look at our last file here. One moment.
Call your mom.
Oh my gosh. Start with the hammer, Elchin. Okay.
Call your mom. Everybody. I've told this like a billion people or so. Call your mom, call your dad. If you're lucky enough to have a parent or two alive on this planet, call them. Don't text, don't email. Call them on the phone, tell them you love them, and thank them, and listen to them for as long as they want to talk to you. Thank you. Thank you, mom and dad.
Okay. So one thing is this. It'd be interesting to know the goal with the audio because right now it sounds like kind of like public speaking. It feels like a TED talk kind of thing, and which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. That does affect the delivery and how you say things. Okay, so if this is public speaking, just the rhythms that you use are a little bit different. They won't sound as conversational. I wouldn't describe this as sounding conversational. Like I wouldn't talk to my friend like this.
Call your mom.
Like, call your mom. Yeah. Here we go.
Call your mom.
Call your mom.
Everybody.
I would also like to know if this is shadowing.
Call your mom.
Call your mom. Call your mom. Call your. Because I'm kind of the reason I'm saying that and pausing. Like I'm kind of wondering if this is the pitch for mom or if it should go a little lower. It depends on what we're emphasizing. Are we emphasizing call? Or are we emphasizing mom?
Call your mom.
Because to me, I'm a little bit undecided, and that would affect like if the stress more on call, I'd be like call your mom, call your mom, call your mom. Or if I'm stressing mom, call your mom, call your mom.
Call your mom. Everybody.
I need to make a video on this. I know I do. So everybody, okay. I think what we've seen a couple times today, actually, although I haven't mentioned it directly, is we have 4-syllable words where the stress falls early, like on like your first syllable. Okay, like everybody, everybody. But what a lot of people are doing, especially like English learners are doing, is they're putting the stress on the third syllable. So they're stressing the third, but then they're also stressing the first. So the first and the third get stressed. When it really is just the first that needs to get stressed for a lot of words, not every word, but a lot of them. Like everybody. Everybody. But listen to this.
Everybody.
Everybody. Everybody. Stress on bud, right? So it's just kind of watch out for that. Like everybody.
Call your mom. Everybody.
Everybody.
I've told this like a billion people or so. This like a billion people or buddy. I've told this like a billion people or so.
You're missing a preposition. You're missing two. Like I've told this to like a billion people. Also listen to billion.
I've told this like a billion people or so.
Otherwise, you're saying I've told this like a billion times. You can say I told this like a billion times. Or you can say I've told this to like a billion people. Or one of those.
I've told this like a billion people or so.
Pitches are kind of slightly the rhythm. I like the delivery. We're really mixing up the pitches and things like that. Some of the rhythm's a little off.
Everybody. I've told this like a billion people or so.
What are we stressing? If you're shadowing this, I would definitely listen back to the shadow and just listen to the original audio and identify, okay, they stress this, they stress this, they stress this, and then ask yourself, are you stressing the same words? Are you stressing other words that are not stressed?
I've told this like a billion people or so.
Like I've told this like a billion to a billion people or so. I've told this like a billion people or so. Like I've told this like a billion people or so. Something like that would add a lot more contrast and make it clear what you're emphasizing.
I've told this like a billion people or so.
I've told this like a billion people versus I've told this like a billion people or so. It's like I've told this, so notice I'm at a lower pitch. I've told this to like a billion people or so. So notice I make that shift, right? I've told this like a billion people or so. So just like the shift between your thought groups and pitches.
So call your mom, call your dad. If you're lucky enough, like a billion people or so. Call your mom, call your
So this next part, like a billion people or so. So you're at so, and then you say call.
people or so. Call your mom, call your dad.
So going from so to call. So you're starting a new thought group. I need a bigger pitch range. Now you're raising your volume. You're louder. Billion people or so. Call. It's a very forceful call. But I think the real thing that you need isn't volume increase. It's pitch.
Or so. Call your mom, call
I would expect that to go higher. It's like a billion people or so. Call your mom.
your dad.
Call
If
your
you're
dad.
like a billion people or so. Call your mom, call your dad.
Billion people or so. Call your mom. Call your dad. Go higher. Add more contrast in terms of pitch, not just volume. It's not really about volume.
I've told this like a billion people or so. Call your mom, call your dad. If you're lucky enough to have a parent or two, call your mom, call your dad. If you're lucky enough to have a parent or your dad. If you're lucky enough to have a parent or
Again, we're a little bit closed off in our pitch register. If you're lucky enough to have a parent, like it's too close. If you're lucky enough to have a parent, if you're lucky enough to have a parent, you see how I went higher there on have a parent? If you're lucky enough to have a parent, like call your mom, call your dad. If you're lucky enough to have a parent, it's like, again, we're just trying to increase the pitch range because it adds so much more contrast to this.
your dad. If you're lucky enough to have a parent or two alive, dad. If you're lucky enough to have
Listen to your.
so. Call your mom, call your dad. If you're lucky enough to have
If you're lucky enough versus if you're lucky enough. So I don't know if it's the R or if it's the L, but something is causing your placement to shoot up a little bit. You can hear it. So like lucky, it's kind of like lucky. If you're lucky enough, like if you're lucky enough versus if you're lucky enough. If you're lucky enough, so watch out for that schwa there on lucky.
have a parent or two alive, so call your mom, call your dad. If you're lucky enough to have a parent or two alive.
And again, the pitches are all the same. If you're lucky enough to have a parent or two, if you're lucky enough to have if you're lucky enough to have a parent or two, again, just increase your ranges because we're just staying at the same pitch too frequently.
Live on this planet, call them. Don't text, don't live on this planet.
On this planet, okay. So we're at the end of a thought group on this planet. So whatever I do next has to be a shift. It has to go high or it has to go low. I don't care which one, but it needs to do something. It can't be the same.
Parent or two alive on this planet, call them.
Planet, call them. Planet, call them. It's just like about the same pitch. Too close to the pitch register. Go higher. Call them. Alive on this planet, call them. Alive on this planet, call them. Alive on this planet, call them. You make a shift.
Don't text, don't email. Call them. Don't text, don't email.
That T's a little awkward on it. Don't email versus don't email. Like don't text, don't email. So I would use a held T.
Call them on the phone. Tell them you love them. Don't text, don't email. Call them on the phone.
Call them is fine. Another way you'll say that is with a reduction. It's like call them. Like call them on the phone. Like call them on the phone. You don't necessarily have to have the TH there.
Call them on the phone. Tell them you love them and thank them and listen to them for as long as they want to talk to you.
Similar thing there. Like listen to. You're kind of bouncing between M and them. Like text them, call them, listen to them. Like we're kind of bouncing around a lot. A lot of these might have been easier if we just kept them. Like text them, call them. The things like that.
And listen to them for as long as they want to talk to you.
A lot of times your last point will go higher.
Them and thank them and listen to them for as long as they want to talk to you.
Like call them and thank them and listen to them. So notice that I break the pattern, right? Call them and text them and listen to them.
Tell them you love them.
And
thank them and listen to them for as long as they want to talk to you.
And listen to them for as long as they want to talk to you. Like something like that.
Thank you. Thank you, mom and dad.
Mix up the pitch on the last part. As long as they want to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank them and listen to them for as long as they want to talk to you.
As long as they want to talk to you. So that's where you're ending.
Thank you.
And then you're going the same pitch again. Thank you. Again, you go higher. Thank you. Or go lower. Thank you. As long as they're willing to listen to you. Thank you. Or as long as they want to listen to you. Thank you. You know, like go higher, go lower.
Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I'll go higher on Dad.
Up to you. Thank you. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Thank you, Mom and Dad. Like, thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you, Mom and Dad. That's a little thing there. All right, a lot of information there. Let me know if you have any questions, but the biggest thing, again, is just pitch, because it's just sounding flat. We have so many more opportunities to increase the range. I do like the energy. Energy is really good. Energy is really good. All right. Let us check to see, has Justice sent us a file? Yay, nay? The answer is nay. All right. By the way, Shok's saying that she could write it as a play. We'll take time. We have time. We have time, Shok. We will wait. All right, guys, that kind of concludes things on my part. Once more, if you are interested in anything that we did say, and you're trying to get feedback for yourself, not just Saturdays, but every single day of the week, we have a free WhatsApp group. If you want to guarantee feedback for yourself, we have a Telegram group for $5 a month. If you want even more feedback and practice with me for up to an hour a day, every single day of the week, we have our Mission English program. We have private classes. And then lastly, we also have the conservatory where we work individually, one-on-one, you and me, towards a project that's going to help you feel more confident in your English and also sharing your English with the world via podcast, video, social media post, or even just keeping it to yourself for whatever reason. My name is Jeff, guys. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me, part of your Saturday. Hello to Weber. Thanks for checking in. If you have a specific question for me, let me know. I'm happy to hang on for a minute. But this has been our stream where, again, every single Saturday at this time, starting at 1:30 p.m. New York, we take a listen to your pronunciation files and we give you suggestions on how to achieve an even more natural sound in American English. Thank you guys for being with me. I know that when it comes to American English pronunciation, there are literally a million resources out there. So the fact that you spent a little bit of your time on a Saturday with me here at Schwa Mill, it's greatly, greatly appreciated. Stay safe. Have a good weekend. And I will see you guys later. Have a good day. Have a good night. And a good afternoon. Take care.